say, right, today I'm just going to hit the road. No. You can see there was a strategy in every person the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave dawah to, particularly in the early years. Yeah? So we decided after a lot of discussion with Hamza Tzortzis that, you know, by the way, he's not Pakistani, yeah? He's not Pakistani, yeah? He hails from the place of, the Greek place, let's just say that, Greece. So he'll probably discuss that with you. But we decided with him, together with him, that because of the specialization that he had, particularly with university, intelligentsia, and doing debates with people that were quite vociferous, 8 years. And I remember when I was 8, that was like 12 years ago, and I was just out of my nappies, and I remember, you know, it was tough then, but I didn't have iERA, and I didn't have the ummah that we have today in Britain. Because the ummah we have today in Britain, of course, is very, very different from, you know, 20 years ago, for 10 years ago. Now we're more organized, we're leaned down, we're more prepared, and we know what's coming to us. We just need an organization, or we need a way forward for dawah. And without further ado, I will hand you to Brother Hamza, who will explain more about that issue, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters and friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you about two concepts before I start my initial presentation. And those two concepts are the concepts of the dunya and the concept of creation. These are two distinct concepts in Islamic theology. These are two contrasting ideas in the deen itself. Because we know the dunya is something very dirty in Islam. It's something compared to a rotting carcass of a goat. And wallahi, if the dunya was very important in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an atheist will not get a morsel of food. An atheist will not be able to even pick up a glass of water and quench his thirst. This is the reality of the dunya, brothers and sisters. And the word dunya comes from the word adna, which basically means something low, something lowly, something near. And theologically we understand dunya is the ephemeral nature of the world. The emptiness of creation, the emptiness of the world. It's illusory. This is sometimes as Muslims, we take the dunya too seriously. We take it far too seriously. What did Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, what did he say in his books? He said, don't take the dunya seriously. And this is the situation, brothers and sisters. The dunya itself is something very lowly. But in contrast to creation, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Alam, creation. Creation itself is something different. It is the theater of divine attributes. Think about this. It's where divine attributes are at play. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, he said, when you look at creation and you reflect, as Allah tells you to reflect, أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ, do they not reflect within themselves? أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ, do they not use their minds? يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, Allah uses يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, and it's an amazing word. If we study this word, we know it comes from the Arabic stem, فَكَرَى. And when we go to the classical dictionaries, we know that this word, it actually means, don't just think and reflect like a desert romantic, touching the sand and looking at the stars. No. The thing that you're reflecting upon, you must inquire, what does it really mean? What are its implications? Hence Allah tells us to reflect within ourselves. أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. What does it mean to exist, brothers and sisters? Have we ever asked us that question? Who am I? This is basic knowledge. Aristotle, the famous Greek philosopher, he says the most basic knowledge is to know yourself. And this is true, I heard one scholar say this, because if you don't know who know who we belong to. And it's from reflection of the world, alameen, alam, to come to the realization, the conception that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. So these are two different concepts. This is why the word alam comes from the word also alim, the one who knows, and ilm, knowledge. So from reflecting upon creation, we gain the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understand the conception of Tawheed, that Allah is one. So these are two different concepts in Islam. The dunya, which is the illusory nature of the world. This is why shaitan, he's the deluder. He deludes us thinking that this dunya is all that there is. That's why there's many materialists in this world now. Clinging on to the dunya, thinking that materialism and material has efficacy. It has power to dictate your destiny. And many Muslims, by name, we believe in Tawheed, but in our hearts, we're materialists. Because we're scared of the material world all the time. We're already scared. Oh, it's the Zionists' fault. Oh, it's Joe Blogs. Oh, it's the media. Oh, I don't have enough money. These are all material things, and we give power to these things. But in reality, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no true power apart from the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Something which I'm going to discuss a little later. So let's reflect back to the dunya, brothers and sisters. And when we reflect the state of the ummah, with regards to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with regards to the ummah, what do we see? We see nothing but disaster and chaos. A few months ago, what happened in Pakistan? The size of Britain, brothers and sisters, was drowning. A young boy lost his family and his parents. He was wandering from camp to camp, and they had no food. He had no food, and one brother, one of my friends who went there, he was following this child, and he had no food either. What did this child do, brothers and sisters? He committed suicide. Suicide, brothers and sisters. This is the reality of the dunya. Track back to 2007, what happened in Pakistan, brothers and sisters? An earthquake the size of 7.0 of the Richter scale that destroyed towns and villages. This is the reality of the dunya of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let's track back a little bit more. In 2005, 2003, we have the invasion in Iraq, where there's some estimates of 1.2 million innocent human beings, brothers and sisters, being slaughtered in the name of imposing liberal democracy at the bar of a gun. This is the reality. This is not a mad mullah saying this. Go to the UN, go to the Guardian, go to Independent, read the books. These are non-Muslims saying this. And let's go a bit further back as well, brothers and sisters, and what do we see? We see Fallujah. What happened in Fallujah, brothers and sisters? They used white phosphorus. And white phosphorus is a disgusting material, because when it goes on your body, even if you would delve yourself into the sea, it will not stop burning. This is the reality of white phosphorus. Let's track back a bit more, and we noticed there was an undercover, stealth, nuclear war. Yes, brothers and sisters, nuclear war that was committed in the Gulf. Because we know, go to the UN files, and what would you see? That the Americans were using depleted uranium. Depleted uranium, DU dust, there's billions of tons of DU dust all around the Gulf. This is why, brothers and sisters, we have Iraqi mothers, our sisters, our mothers having babies, and they don't know how to breastfeed the baby, because they can't see the face. There is no face. They can't see the eyes or the mouth. There is no eye and mouth, because of the diseases as a result of that nuclear radioactivity and the dust in the Gulf region. This is the reality, brothers and sisters. Let's track back even more in the 90s. What do we see? We see Serbian soldiers gambling, brothers and sisters. And this is no ordinary gambling. They were gambling after raping our pregnant sisters, killing them, and then ripping their stomachs and guessing which embryo is going to be male or female. This is the reality, brothers. We need to wake up to this reality. We're one ummah. We need to wake up to this reality, understand that this is the reality of the dunya with regards to the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is not just to Muslims. This is human beings, brothers and sisters. A few months ago was the 65th anniversary of the nuclear bomb that hit Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And what happened, brothers and sisters? 220,000 innocent human beings were annihilated. On what pretext? Because Japanese